it's Nikki Dore, Dating Mediation. I've been talking about spirit guides this week. I really wanted to talk about something a little bit different today. Now, there was a tweet on my timeline when I was asking you about things to discuss, and somebody asked, why do people come in your life that hurt you and cause pain? And I gave which is, I guess, a standard metaphysical response about how we have to grow and experience situations, and sometimes sometimes those are easy lessons, sometimes they're hard. But he then came back and said, well, how does someone look like they've moved on? Or how has someone moved on and you're still a mess? And I gave that. I thought about, actually, in the age of social media, it's really easy to show ourselves in a light that we want to, in the right light that we want to. We can show ourselves as living our best life when we're at home crying in the corner, because you're only showing a portion of that life, and it's very easy to control the narrative. But also it brought up the issue of what is moving on. And moving on from romantic relationships, I see very much as gaining the closure and being emotionally available for the next person. Now, a lot of people see moving on as having a new relationship. Now, I don't see that. There are people, and you can distinguish this, there are people who essentially date the same person. They date the same person in a different body with a different face. They face the same issues, relationship. And you know who these people are. And I don't think that it's about them being bad people. I just think that they obviously like following the same patterns without breaking them. When I'm talking about moving on is actually about gaining closure and being emotionally available. Now, I'm going to tell you about a few things that, in the way I work through it, I know everyone's different. Everyone has different ways of working through. But I think there's a few things that happens at the end of a relationship is it can become idealized. So kind of like, oh, they were so great at this, they were so great at that. But we've kind of gone and put some rose-tinted glasses on because we're only seeing one side at that moment when you're missing them. You're not remembering the other side when they're really annoying and did all of those things that annoy you. So, and that's one thing. And then there's another part of the relation. Oh, okay, let me go back. I'm racing off. So when I'm talking about the first step in gaining closure is getting that realistic view of what they gave to you and what the relationship gave to you. But it also took away, and also any projections involved that were thrown at you, write these down. So I essentially just I usually get a new notepad because I like stationery, but every time that you think about that thing that you missed about them, write it down. Every time that you have that bubble pop up of anger or irritation about something that they did or didn't do whilst you were together, write that down too. And keep doing that. Because the thing is, we romanticize something after a while, and this gives you a clear view, and it can take days, weeks, months, years. But actually it helps you build up a realistic picture, and also helps you to understand what about that relationship was good or bad. Now, you're not together, so something didn't work out, and I don't subscribe to the theory that right person, wrong time. I don't think that's ever the case. It means it's the wrong time and the wrong person. It doesn't mean that you might not meet at a later date, but it just means that there's something that keeps you apart. So anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. So you write these down because you need that realistic view of who they are and what they gave to you. And also sometimes people give something to us that we can actually gain for ourselves. If they made you feel safe, how did they do that? How do you gain that feeling? Because sometimes it's hard to let go of somebody when we feel we need something that they gave us. And another thing is really hard is if you don't know the why. And that's really difficult because a lot of people need to know the why before they can literally let go and move on. And it's, why did it happen to me? Why did this relationship not work out? Because if you're not together, it didn't work out. And a lot of people, and I've just said about the right time, wrong person type thing, wrong time, right person, which I don't believe in. But it is, that person isn't for, if you're not together, that person isn't for you right now. Now, it doesn't mean it wasn't for you when you were in that relationship. Doesn't mean it can't be for you in the future, but right now in the present, you're not together. So there's a reason why you're not together. And idealizing and going, oh yeah, but if this happened, and if it happened here, or if this was different, you have to look at what it actually is in reality. So I kind of like doing that list, and it kind of builds up and you start understanding why, and then it helps you for going forward when you are available. You'll understand about what part of that relationship was that you would want to, what part of those relationship needs were met and what parts weren't. So it's very analytical, listy, but I'm a list person, I've got Mars and Virgo, but it really does help to write it. And then when you do have those moments, go over it, but look at both sides. And also sometimes we do take on projections from somebody else, and right at the end of that process, when you're feeling, okay, well I'm feeling less attached, I'm not thinking about them in that way so much now, and it's a gradual process, then I'm not feeling angry at them, I'm not missing them, and all of these things, then you can then, I like to summarise it all in a letter where you thank them, but you also give back any projections. Never send it, I'm not that type of person, because closure I think is an internal thing, it's not an external. So I would just go, no, I'm just going to burn it. I actually never burn things. I worry about setting the house on fire. Shred it, or bury it in the garden, do whatever you want to do, or flush it, do whatever you want to do. But it's very much about working through your internal processes to be able to go, okay, I'm ready. You might still miss them, it doesn't mean you have to not love them, but it's about going, okay, I'm now ready to go on, I'm emotionally available, and I'm not going to burden somebody with the problem, with all this baggage from the past. So even though this is a very, I guess, weird video in talking about closure, I hope that it's reached somebody who needed to hear that today, because when we go through this, we kind of feel that we're looking, and it always looks like the other person is much better, in a much better situation, but we don't know that. And at the moment, we need to focus on ourselves, and it's okay to experience those emotions. It's okay to still be thinking about them or still have feelings after a certain period of time. Do not minimize your feelings, your experience of those. Allow yourself to feel it, but also don't keep hold of it. Release it in some ways. Think about it, feel it, and then let it go. And then you're going to start processing. When things start bubbling up, you're actually going through that process. So yeah, anyway, happy Friday everybody, and I hope this helps somebody out there who needs to understand how to get closure, and how to start finding that why answer, so that they can get ready and move on to the next amazing person who's always going to be better than the last person, because you've worked through, and therefore you deserve to move up a notch.